Uh, Thank you, organizers, for inviting me to talk on the nutritional and health potential of milk and dairy products. Uh, as was introduced, I was actually professor of dairy microbiology for more than 40 years. And then I was with the Dr. Varghese Kiran Center of Excellence at the Institute of Rural Management. We have established one network on fermented foods where we study and we have a group of scientists who do work on different types of fermented foods for health and nutritional benefits. So today I will be focused on the milk and the dairy products. However, before we go to the actual topic, I am presenting these because the Article 47 of the Constitution of India says that it is the responsibility of the state to provide or raise the level of nutrition of the society. We all know that food is essential for life and everybody needs foods. And hence, constitutionally, we are bound, being a professional, as a moral duty, that we should raise the status of nutrition of everybody who is alive on this earth. I was just looking to the latest figures of the FAO WHO website. See, we are only 8.25 billion already. And because the birth rate is higher than the death rate, every year 70 million are added. So probably next year we'll have to have 9 million within few years, and then this many stomachs are to be filled. However, with this present requirement, we already have about 700 million people who are facing the global hunger. At the same time, about 2.3 billion people in the world was estimated to have been moderately or severely food insecure. Means food security is also a problem, not only nutrition security. At the same time, the food prices are increasing throughout. So the purchasing power parity is increasing slowly. Even within 2 years, if you compare it from 4.01, it has become 4.46. So as a whole, as a professional, we need to work hard to achieve the 2030 global targets for child malnutrition, as well as overall nutrition of the society. We also have a severe problem of anemia in women, as well as also child malnutrition. Almost one third of children and two-thirds of women are hardly able to achieve minimum dietary diversity. So the global food markets have faced persistent pressure in recent years because of price inflation, and especially we have two major concerns recently. One is the COVID pandemic and the present Ukraine war. So with these pressures on the industry for price increase and the population increase, our duty as a professional is becoming still great and more responsible. We see the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, and I feel that today my presentation is going to address at least four of these. The goal number 2 is zero hunger, 3 good health and well-being, 12 responsible consumption and production, and 15th life on the land. So to start with, I don't know why it is moving like this. It should not. Nutrition security. See the standard definitions given in the books. We know that all the people at all the time should have physical and social and economic access to food, which is safe. So that is what WHO says. And we also need to work on these aspects. And in this concern, the FAO 2023 reports clearly says that diet quality is critical link between food security and nutrition outcome. And that is why we have to work for the cost, that means affordability of the diet along with its nutritional and health value. So these are the critical factors, and this directly relates to the SDG 2 of hunger, food security, and nutrition. So we have to work on such foods which will satisfy this requirement. And in this specific requirement, we have to find that which food suits the most. And in my opinion, milk is the nature's most nutritious food with more than 400 nutrients. It allows to manufacture an array of functional dairy products, plenty of products. Probably, if you consider ice creams and yogurts and cheeses, it will be more than 1,000 products which are made out of milk. So, which can be also nutritionally complemented and adjusted to suit to the needs of the society. These are more affordable also, and these products are spread across the globe. So when we say the value of food, it is these four parameters: availability, accessibility, affordability, and functionality. So all four wheels, if you see, the functional dairy foods are shooting to these, and that is why I am focusing today on the milk and dairy products, its role in our health and nutrition, and why we want to recommend these kind of foods. Uh, just to begin with, I'm putting the definition of milk because in the present world and in social media, we find lot many things against milk also, and probably many of the white fluids which are extracted from soybean or almond or other things with lot of chemical processing, they are being called as milk in certain countries. No doubt it is illegal as per the Codex General definition because milk means a normal mammary gland secretion. So it should come from milking animal, not from any plants. As per Indian standards, that is Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, also clearly say that milk is a normal mammary gland secretion. So to call other beverages or drinks as milk is illegal in India also. So milk is a very natural, very complex food containing hundreds of micro and macronutrients, and there is nothing artificial, no blends, no additives, no chemical processing, as compared to what is required for the plant-based beverages, which is probably disturbing the market in Europe at present. No doubt that now it has started slowing down. Milk as a nutrient content, if you see, this uh, table shows that what are the major nutrients. Most of it is water, fat, protein, lactose, and acid. However, the value of a food is not simply by its content of nutrients, but it is many factors which plays role together. That in what quality they are and what are the other nutrients which are coexisting with that. So fat, protein, lactose are the major one. Ash is lower quantity, but it has plenty of minerals which are essential for our life. See, this is the mineral content of milk, and you will see that it is a very, very rich source of calcium. Either we you see the cow milk or buffalo milk, because buffalo milk is more popular in uh, India and Pakistan and many other Asian countries. But it has a good quantity of phosphorus, potassium, also, and zinc, which is very, very, very essential from nutrition point of view. There is plenty of vitamins in that. We know that vitamins are playing role as cofactors or coenzymes for many of the biosynthetic pathways, and this will help definitely in absorption of the proteins or fat or whatever we are eating as a food. So holistic value of a food, nutritional value of food is to be seen, not as an individual nutrient, and that is what is being the trend in the nutrition research. So I have just taken this an example from the National Dairy Council's website that milk is a treasure of more than 400 valuable nutrients, and each nutrient has its own role in therapeutic as well as nutritional value. Uh, Once again, I would like to clarify that when we say nutritional value, the nutritional value of food doesn't depend only on the quantity of nutrient. So it's the quality of nutrient which is more important. Because if I give pure calcium 100 gram and if you 100 all 100 gram, it is not going to be used by your body. But the same calcium, if I give you along with milk, it has a different effect on your body. So it's the quality of the nutrient which is important and the interplay of other nutrients in the matrix. So matrix decide the value of the nutrient. And that is measured in terms of absorption, bioavailability, and finally the utility by our system to uh, improve or to build our muscles or build our own proteins and so. Let us talk first about the fat, milk fat, because milk fat has been blamed for a long time, especially uh, the American Society for Heart Association of Health. But see, basics of fat, everybody knows that if you glycerol and fatty acids, if you join, it becomes fat. If it is solid, it is fat oil. And the type of fatty acids decides whether that fat is healthy or not healthy. So when we talk about milk, the milk fat has typically short chain fatty acids, medium chain fatty acids, as well as long chain fatty acids. So for short and medium chain fatty acid, there is no issue. They are really healthy. There is some issue about the long. They may be uh, creating some problems, especially the lipid accumulation or insulin resistance or so. However, we will look about that. But as far as the short chain fatty acids are there, having less than 4 carbons, see, they're easily digested. And because of easily digested, they give instant energy as well as they form the colonocytes. They have little deposition in body and they reduce body fat, serum cholesterol, and triglycerides. So this part is playing role as anti-obesity factor of consumption of milk fat. And the butyric acid is very, very unique, which is almost a very high quantity, 2 to 5%. It's not a small one. And it has got many, many health benefits, uh, anti-cancer and synergistic action with many drugs and improve efficiency of the body. And many things are there. Probably there are thousands of papers on butyric acid content in food itself. Similarly, medium chain fatty acids are also well studied with 6 carbon to 12 carbon, and they are being used for treating metabolic disorders as well as neurological disorders. However, as I told about long chain fatty acids, see, all long chain fatty acids, fatty acids of different products are not same. They are different. So I'm just giving uh, here the list of the total composition of the fat and fatty acids of different kinds of products. And you can see that milk only has short chain fatty acids. Medium chain fatty acids are there in milk, coconut, as well as palm kernel, little bit in rice, bran, and sunflower. While all others have the long chain fatty acids. Now, among the long chain fatty acids in milk, how they are different, I will tell you. Uh, see, among the long chain fatty acids, there will be some with odd carbon atoms and some with even carbon atoms. Problem is there with even carbon atoms. The odd carbon atoms fatty acids, C5, C7 up to C23 also, they have been found to reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes. There are many scientific evidences, research papers on this. They are also inversely related with the risk of cardiovascular diseases. So their content in milk fat is almost 1.2 to 4.3% the total fatty acid. That is also good amount. And this depends upon the type of milk, maybe cow milk or buffalo milk also. But this is the unique in milk fat, which is not found in vegetable oils. They don't have such odd carbon fatty acids. Similarly, another factor is branch chain fatty acids and straight chain fatty acids. Now, branch chain fatty acids are present in milk and they have protective effect on inflammation, cancers, and metabolic disorder. See, I will show some of the studies on health effects later on, but as a content within the fat, this information is very important. So, milk has almost 2% of the total fatty acids as branch chain fatty acids also. Well, it is totally absent in vegetable oils. Apart from this, milk has a conjugated fatty acids, especially CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, is very well studied in the science and it influences several physiological functions. We have research work, clinical trials even on anti-butogenic, anti-carcinogenic, anti-obesity, anti-diabetic, anti-hypertensive, anti-atherosclerogenic, and also for enhancing functions. So these are very, very important functions which CLA regulates. And milk fat is the richest source of CLA. It is almost 5 milligram per gram, the total fat. So this is the unique thing which milk fat has, and that is why it is more important. Apart from this, we also have omega 6 and omega 3 balance and so. But milk fat is covered by a specific membrane. It is called as milk fat globule membrane, MFGM, and it has got very, very high nutritional value. See, on milk fat globule membrane itself, lot many studies have been done, which includes its stimulating effect or anti-tumor effect, or especially it is a very good having antioxidative properties. So these studies all indicate that the routine fatty acids of milk fat as well as the milk fat globule membrane, everything together makes the milk fat more healthier. So to summarize the effect of the milk fat has high content of short chain fatty acids and medium chain fatty acids. It has regulatory and signatory functions. Its conjugated linoleic acid and butyric acid unique are there. And especially it has a DHA, which is an omega-3 fatty acids, which is essential for brain development, especially during pregnancy and childhood. So that is why milk fat is very, very important. And bovine milk fat also has the variety of triglycerides, with high percentage of palmitic acid position as SN2 position. So this is very, very important for positively improving the digestion and absorption in infants. And milk fat globule membrane, as I told. Now coming to the milk proteins, milk protein, it has a unique casein, almost 80%, as well as whey proteins, which are 20%. Even though they are less in quantity, they are very, very important, and we have different kinds of whey proteins. Alpha lactobacillus, beta lactobacillus, they are major. Other we have BSA and other things. Lactoferrin also very, very important. Now these proteins are made of amino acids, we know, and out of all the amino acids, we have got 9 essential amino acids. That means those amino acids are not synthesized by the body, but body needs it. All animal proteins, friends, including the milk proteins, contain all 9 essential amino acids. While most of the plant proteins are incomplete, which they will be lacking 1 or 2 or 3 essential amino acids, and that is why they cannot be totally absorbed by the body. And especially the lactobacillus population, which is major there in India, they consume only milk, but no feed, meat, or meat, unlike anything. For them, milk is essential to maintain their nutritional balance. Whey proteins of milk contains branch chain amino acids also, which are the real muscle building uh, constituents. This type of protein is easily absorbed by the body. It is broken down, absorbed. Milk proteins also produce a number of bioactive peptides, which has got many, many therapeutic effects. A lot of work has been done on that. We don't have time to go into details of that. But initially, when I was talking about the quality of the nutrient, say there will be many food products where they will be having protein. So what we have is that when we eat the food, the proteins are digested, they are broken down to the units amino acids, and then these amino acids are sub to make the body proteins ultimately. The same amino acids are rearranged and it will produce our body protein. So this is the digestive pattern of the proteins, and the quality of protein is measured in the standard parameters like NPU, PR, EA. Until few last year or before that, protein digestibility corrected amino acid score (PDCAS) was there, and now we have got digestible index special amino acid score. So I have just given the value PDCAS value of egg, cow milk, the highest. We just for comparison, I was soya, because among the plant proteins, soya is the nearest one to milk in terms of the protein quality. Now the new method which is being used is dyes. That means all amino acids which are broken down from the food you consume, how much they are utilized in the body to synthesize the body protein. So if DAS value is 1, that means all absorbed protein is completely utilized by the body. If it is less than 1, means the absorbed protein is not fully utilized by the body, because there will be some lacuna in that. And if DAS is more than 1, that means absorbed protein is fully utilized and still some amino acids are left out, limiting amino acids left out, which can complement the other food which you eat. So in this case, now I will show the value. See, I have seen the milk protein concentrate. It has DIAS value of 1.3. That means milk provides 30% extra essential amino acids, which can complement other proteins. Means milk protein is completely utilized, but still it leaves about 30% extra essential amino acids, which may be lacking in other plant proteins. So along in meal, if you are eating some other dals or pulses or other things where there are some amino acids are lacking, these will complement the death protein and make that protein easily absorbed and utilized by the body. It is not only the assimilation or absorption, it is utilization of those amino acids for building our own body proteins. So this is the beauty of the milk proteins, that it leaves something extra so that other foods which you consume can also be fully utilized. There are so many studies on bioactive peptides, so I will not go into details of these uh, because of paucity of time. But there is a whole branch of science now, and many departments are working on bioactive compounds of milk proteins and other things. But uh, the most important proved things are its immunostimulating effects, anti-carcinogenic effects, and also some of them are useful for diabetes management. The another major component in milk is lactose, that is milk sugar, and probably milk is being blamed for this because some people may not be able to utilize it because of the lack of the typical enzyme which breaks lactose into glucose and galactose. It's a disaccharide, and we need enzyme beta galactosidase. So it is intestinally synthesized, and when you consume it, it is being broken and lactose. But some people may have deficiency of this enzyme and they cannot use it. For those, we can go for fermented milk where lactose is already partially utilized during fermentation, or a number of lactose hydrolyzed or lactose-free milk products are available in the market, which are recommended for such kind of patient. Friends, lactose is more important for us because it is galactose, and it is very, very important because it is required for the synthesis of gangliosides, and gangliosides are component of glycolipids, which is essential for formation of brain tissues. So the brain development, mainly, especially during the infant when they are in mother's milk, is very fast catching up because of their cognition and their brain functions. So we need to consume milk throughout the life so as to keep your brain healthy. Lactose also acts as a co-ingredient for absorption of minerals like calcium, magnesium, zinc. It has also got lower glycemic index as compared to sucrose. So milk as a sugar, glucose as sugar, has many other beneficial effects apart from the prebiotic effect when you consume with a probiotic product. Uh, so lactose is very important for us. Among the other nutrients present in that, I've just simply listed the minerals, the vitamins, the enzymes, and again I'm repeating this statement that it is not simply the quantity or quality that matters, but it is also an interplay of several other nutrients that exist in consortia that decide the absorption or otherwise of the nutrient. See, in many countries, we have now nutritional labeling, especially for the risky nutrients like salt, sugar, and saturated fat. But say, uh, how this sugar or salt or fat is present in which matrix is very, very important. So the milk as a matrix is different than the other matrices, and that is why we also had a debate on that. What kind of labeling should be done in case of milk? Because sugar in milk cannot be labeled as a high sugar product and made as a low star rating also. So this consortia matters, and I have just given a few examples. So milk is having thiamine, vitamin B6, and zinc. Now these vitamins work in concert with other vitamin like pantothenic acid. In isolation, both of them may be less functional, but with all these two are together, it has very, very important effect. Another example is milk as selenium, so which works with vitamin A to help maintain the healthy immune system. So selenium alone or vitamin A alone together in the food system, it is much better. Same thing is with calcium. So calcium along with lactose and vitamin D is the uh, unique condition in milk, and that is why the calcium in milk is much more superior than the same calcium in other sources. So that is the beauty in milk we enjoy. So for many people who need the body requirement of RDA, milk is the best source. Now, after talking about nutritional value and the ingredients, I will spend probably last 5 or 7 minutes on some health benefits and the clinical effects. See, there are several health benefits which are experienced by the mankind. And in India, we had a tradition of consuming milk and other products for many control of many things. For example, during my childhood, when we are having a stomach upset or something like diarrhea, my mother will say that you take buttermilk along with the bread of made from bajra atta. It was controlling my things. That means it has something very, very unique and very important thing. So now scientifically and confirm, especially for muscle and bone repair, skin care, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, all metabolic syndrome, lifestyle disease also uh, being studied and how the dairy is affecting on that. So this is how it is affecting. Apart from the types of nutrient it has, also the production of new compounds or these things when it is being fermented or it is being utilized by the body. In growth and development, we know that milk consumption augments longitudinal growth, so that the height of the person is affected by consumption of it. Especially the cow milk has branch chain amino acids like leucine, isolation, valine, which are very, very important to increase the plasma concentration of IGF-1. And this mediates the growth hormone action that promotes the cell replication. That is how it promotes the growth. So, mechanism also been studied scientifically well. In obesity and body weight gain, there are many studies. I've just given one or two examples. See, in the three large cohorts among men and women, there are large cohorts. Consumption of whole milk, low-fat milk, and cheese had no clear association with weight change. Means it is not associated with increase in weight or body weight, as the people feared. It's against that. Whereas the yogurt consumption was associated with less weight gain. Means it is the opposite, which what about people think. There are another three more cohort studies involving human young children. Consumption of full fat or 2% fat milk was associated with lower BMI or lower risk of obesity. Uh, Only few days before I was hearing that there is not difference much about low fat and high fat, and people think high fat is bad, low fat is good. But the studies are not that intense, and we do not know that high fat will be creating problem with you. It's not like that. It may not be. It may be neutral, or it may be still better than the other component. So regular consumption of yogurt, fermented probiotics result in the less weight gain. Similarly, blood pressure, because milk has calcium, potassium, magnesium, all this together helps in maintaining the healthy blood pressure, potassium in particular. So in this also there are so many prospective cohort studies. Neither whole not low fat milk has been clearly associated with the incidence of mortality associated with coronary heart disease or stroke. That means it has a negative correlation. It is preventive. I'm just citing one or two studies. One is this dairy product consumption and risk of type 2 diabetes, the systematic dose response meta-analysis. It's a very big analysis uh, in multi countries. The conclusion only of this is that the dose response meta-analysis of observational studies suggest possible role of dairy foods, particularly yogurt, in prevention of type 2 diabetes. Why I'm suggesting here, because in social media there are many influencers, and there, and especially some of the Ayurvedic doctors in India say that milk is causing diabetes. For them, this is the proof, scientific proof with large number of patients, that it is not causing, rather it is preventing the onset of diabetes as well as also protective. Another study, also a large scale study with the Asian Indian population. It was a Chennai urban rural epidemiology study. There are many papers on this. Now, similarly, it was also extended the pure studies with multinational. But see, the overall protective effect of dairy was seen in the diabetes. And especially through 4% milk fat product is popular, and this has helped to reduce the onset of diabetes and also the hypertension and obesity. There are few more papers I have cited. There are many papers. Dr. V. Mohan from Madras Diabetic Foundation was involved in this pure study, and we had invited him especially to talk to the dairy students at how the milk is helping. So this was this pure study, which was globally launched with almost 27 countries with about 225,000 patients. And one of the summaries aim is prevalence of metabolic syndrome, that will all its component factors like hypertension, obesity, and diabetes. So you can see the number of volunteers which are enrolled in studies. They are very, very high, and scientists will understand this kind of graphs, that the square, black square on the left hand side indicates that it is helping to reduce the incidence. So it is either incident hypertension or incident diabetes. In both the cases, the consumption of dairy is reducing the risk of diabetes or hypertension. This is also the metabolic syndrome, the elevated waist circumference, elevated triglycerides, fasting glucose, everything is on the negative side. Even HDL, it is increasing. So all healthy indices for those who consume total dairy as well as whole fat. So the conclusion of this large scale study, I think over 10 years, still the study is going on, indicate that higher intake of dairy was associated with moderately lower prevalence of metabolic syndrome, and most of its component factors with a lower incidence of hypertension and diabetes during the follow-up. So this is a clear-cut indication, scientific proof that it is helping. We had a small study on glycemic index, because again people are talking about the diabetes and milk, and you can see the glycemic index of milk and glycemic index of them, it is very, very low, and it shows that this will help you in control or prevention or protection of diabetic events. One more study I have just indicated here, it's a review and meta-analysis of many prospective cohort studies. Only conclusion is that total and fermented products, particularly plain yogurt, are protective against type 2 diabetes, while milk, cheese, and other dairy products have neutral or no effect. They recommended that further detailed studies are required about this. But at least it is not causing anything abnormal. Dairy intake and mortality. Mortality is very, very important. I have only 5 minutes left, so I will just try to finish within 2-3 minutes. Last study, that mortality is very, very important, not only by as it is by aging, but by any of the disease related to these. So this was studied, and you can see the mortality related to major cardiovascular disease, by stroke or non-cardiovascular disease, all is reducing. So it is a beauty that the patient suffering from these diseases, the chances of their death is still reducing if they are on the milk and milk products. Especially yogurt and the milk consumption have been compared here, and with different serving sizes. And in all cases, it is helping to reduce the mortality also. So the conclusion of this study is that dairy consumption was associated with lower risk of mortality and major cardiovascular disease events in diverse multinational cohorts. So these many of these studies confirmed that milk and dairy products are good for your health and it helps in prevention of many lifestyle diseases. None of the studies have been found to be positive for creating the problems. The one more cohort I just wanted to present that there are 17 cohort studies with 18 publications with 896,000 volunteers participants. They showed that high intake of yogurt compared with low intake was significantly associated with lower risk of deaths from all kind of causes. So this is something very eye-opening and very, very informative, important for all of us as a professional. So my final slide that I conclude with a note that milk is the best natural food that is packed with several digestible nutrients that qualifies the milk to be called as nearly complete food. It lacks fiber and deficiency in little bit iron and vitamin C, and that is complemented by other regular foods which you take meals. Milk is also a natural therapeutic food that confers several health benefits due to its nutrients as well as bioactive compounds. Milk and dairy products, especially fermented milk, dahi, and yogurt, help in reducing the prevalence of metabolic syndromes, especially type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and obesity. So the overall consumption of milk and dairy products help in reducing total mortality. Means it enhances the lifespan, keeps you healthy. So for being healthy, living long, it is desirable that you consume milk and milk products regularly. So with this thought, I end my presentation and I thank once again the organizers for giving me this platform to discuss with you all. And we know that in India, Lord Krishna is the first promoter dairyman of the world. And I always thank him for giving me this ability to talk to you and try to explain whatever level I can do to the worthy audience sitting in Valencia or all across the world because these are online sessions. So thank you very much. Thank you so much.